Om Namo Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining today. We'd like to seek your good wishes, your blessings, so that we can remember Bhaktivinod Thakur. It's his appearance day tomorrow. So it's a half-day fast. Bhaktivinod Thakur is one of the prominent acharyas in this Gaudiya Madhav Brahma Sampradaya. And we are very fortunate because we sing, Karuna Bandha sings one of his bhajans every single day from the books that he has written, the bhajan books. So it's really incredible. And we're going through at the moment the Gita Mala, which is such incredible detail about the intricacies of spiritual life in Golok Vrindavan. So extraordinary personality. And we can have a quick look at his life. Ah, yes, good. So this is the Pranam mantra for Bhaktivinod Thakur.
Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchidananda Namine Varashakti Swarupaya Rupanugavadadi.
Very good. You can read.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto Satchidananda Bhaktivinod, who is transcendental energy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is strict follower of the Goswami, said that by Srila Rupa.
Yes, beautiful Pranam mantra for Bhaktivinod Thakur. Oop, I forget that one. So this is a nice painting of him. Why we describe and listen about pure devotees of the Lord. The devotees, they've realized the presence of the Lord, and therefore they can always see the lotus feet of the Lord within their hearts. So devotees are so important. We're just listening today again to the power of the devotee. You were listening to only how he has the Lord in his hands. He can give the Lord to others. Such pure devotees of the Lord are as glorious as the Lord. They are in fact recommended by the Lord as more worshipable than him. So worship of the devotee is more potent than worship of the Lord. This is Srila Prabhupada in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 13th chapter, 4th verse.
Prabhuji, can you show that picture again?
Oh yeah, sure. This one?
Yes, Prabhuji.
This is in Jagannath Puri. Nice picture.
Painting.
Yeah, nice painting.
Colors also.
So who is he? In the spiritual world, in the song Siddhi Lasa, in the Gita Mala, he himself gives his eternal spiritual identity as Kamala Manjari. And that he is the servant of Rupa Manjari, who is the leader of Lalita Sakhi's entourage. So this is always nice to go through. Anybody remember Radha Madhav?
Lalita, Vishaka,
yes, yes, yes.
Sudevi, Rangadevi,
yes,
Induleka.
Yes, Induleka there. Yeah, and then R for, oh, did he say Rangadevi already? Oh.
There's Tangavidya.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else?
Sri.
Yeah, Sudevi.
Sudevi.
Sudevi, I answered that.
Yeah.
Oh, you already said it.
The only one I missed is Champaklata.
Yeah, good. So Lalita, Vishaka. So here it's IRS,
Ranga.
Indian Revenue Service. Induleka Rangadevi and Sudevi. And then here TCC.
Tangvidya, Champaklata.
So TCC going this way.
Oh, I forgot the three members, the three gopis.
Yeah,
there.
That's right. You'll get it. You're way ahead of us. And then this is an idea. Again, we've got the gopis here, and then the leaders of the Manjaris, Rupa, and one of Rupa's servants or Manjaris is Kamala, Bhaktivinod Thakur. So very, very close to Radha and Krishna. And then he also further describes, my bodily hue is like that of lightning. I wear a sari, the color of a clear night sky sprinkled with stars. Eternally, I am 12.5 years old and I live in Swananda Shukada Kunja. And her Kunj, that's Kamala Devi's, Bhaktivinod Thakur, is in the bower of Lalita, Brajanandan Shukada Kunja, where she sets the standard of worship to the divine couple. So really high level position. So he was born in 1838 and he continued to stay in this world until 1914. He's a prominent Acharya. He's a pioneer, spiritual leader. He was a householder. He had many children. Magistrate, he was working man as well, working devotee. And he worked under the British rule. But he was also a prolific preacher, writer, and poet, as we know. He wrote volumes of books reintroducing the pure teachings of Lord Chaitanya at a time when those teachings had practically become lost. So we'll see that in a minute. He composed hundreds of devotional songs, and Karuna is so fortunate going through each and every one of those songs, glorifying Krishna to uplift the consciousness of the suffering people of the world. And he certainly does amazing things when we go through these songs. He corresponded with philosophers, theologians, leaders, scholars, professors of his time, sent books, including the life and precepts of Lord Chaitanya, to university libraries in foreign countries, planting the seeds for a worldwide movement of Krishna consciousness. So in the McGill University, the devotees there, right at the beginning of the start of the movement, went to that library or university and they found this book by Bhaktivinod Thakur. They took it to Srila Prabhupada and he was ecstatic. It was written, 1896, the year that Prabhupada was born. So very powerful. Bhaktivinod Thakur also discovered and excavated the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. Alongside with his devoted wife, Bhagavati Devi, he raised 10 children. No mean feat, including the illustrious, His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada.
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur childhood nickname is Bimal Prasad.
Yes.
No, his nickname is
That's
his proper name.
Yeah, that's his first
proper
name. Yeah, that's
what I was,
he was called.
given.
When he took initiation from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, his name became Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
But he wasn't even Goswami
No,
at that
it was just
time.
Bhakti Siddhanta.
Yeah, even Bhakti.
And then Saraswati's later as well.
Yeah. Forgotten the sequence of that. So 1500s. Let's have a look at a little bit of what happened before Bhaktivinoda Thakur came to this world. Mahaprabhu inaugurated the Sankirtan movement, which was popularized by the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare. After they left, and all the other acharyas after them, which included Krishnadas Kaviraj and then Srinivas Acharya. Of course, the 6 Goswamis left before them. And then Narottam, Shyamananda, and then left Ramananda Kaviraj. After him, there was Rasikanandan Prabhu. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And then Baladev Vidyabhushan. And if devotees recall, Baladev Vidyabhushan was extraordinary. He wrote the commentary on the Bhagavatam, the Vedanta Sutra rather. And he is popular, very popular. But after him, there was a big void. 2 centuries later, so in the 1700s, after Baladev Vidyabhushan and his disciples left the planet, the influence of the Hare Krishna movement waned. And the sects of pseudo devotees such as the Sahijyas and similar groups became prominent, professing love of Godhead but acting in immoral ways. These groups, there were 13 of these Apa Sampadayas, as Bhaktisiddhanta used to call them, which brought disrepute upon the pure movement begun by Mahaprabhu. And the Bhakti movement was practically finished. However, in 1938, Bhaktivinod Thakur, who was named Kedarnath Dutt by his parents, was born 2nd of September in opulent circumstances in Biranagar, Ulagram, in the district of Nadia, West Bengal. He was the 7th son of Raja Krishnananda Datta, a devotee of Lord Nityananda. He would be known as Daitya Kulera Prahlad. Prahlad in the family of non-devotees. Because Vaishnavism, the worship of Krishna, was not very much respected at that time because it fell into disrepute. And this is his birthplace in Birnagar. His childhood was spent at the mansion of his maternal grandfather, and his environment was very opulent at that time. He got his elementary education at the primary school, started by his grandmother, in fact. Later on, he attended an English school in Krishnanagar, quite a big town, started by the king of Nadia. But he had to leave that school when his older brother died of cholera. So he had a lot of misfortune, actually, when he was young. When he was 11, his father even passed away. Subsequently, the grant of land that had been conferred upon his grandmother changed owners, and the family fell into poverty. So it was quite a difficult childhood. When he was just 12, his mother arranged his future marriage to the daughter of Madhusudan Mitra Mahasaya. So in those days, they used to arrange the marriages very young so that the boy and the girl wouldn't stray. They would become fixed in consciousness of each other. But they wouldn't be together necessarily. They'd still be in their own houses until they were a little older. 1856, at the age of 18, the Thakur entered college in Calcutta. He started writing extensively in English, in Bengali. He studied English literature. You can just tell him later.
I just sent him a message.
Yeah. And taught speech making to a person who later became well-known orator in the British Parliament. I think he was also colleagues with Rabindranath Thakur, or his father anyway, not Rabindranath Thakur himself, who won the Nobel Peace Prize for Literature years later. 1858, the Thakur returned to his native village, which was ruined and deserted by cholera epidemic. So we're going through one now. But that time, this cholera epidemic killed millions in Bharat. It was really devastating. It killed practically all the inhabitants of his village, most of his relatives. He returned to Calcutta with two surviving members of the family, his mother and his paternal grandmother. He was never interested in business. He thought it was unnecessary dishonesty because you'd have to lie about the price you bought the goods and how much you're selling, how much profit you're making. And it morally weakened the merchant class. He decided to become a school teacher. He went to Jagannath Puri, he passed a teacher's examination. He got a teacher's post in Kathak school. The Thakur later became headmaster of a school in Bhadraka and then in Medinipur. His hard work was noted by the school board. In 1860, in Bhadraka, the first son, Anada Pashad Achyutanand, was born. Unfortunately, at that time, the Thakur's wife died during the childbirth. And later on, he married second wife, Bhagavati Devi, very powerful Vaishnavi. During his post as headmaster at this high school, the Thakur looked into various religious sects and their philosophies and practice. He could see that people in general were taking religion very cheaply. I think he got into Christianity at one point as well. He came to understand the unique importance of Sankirtan movement, however, spreading love of God through the chanting of the names, his names, that had been established in Bengal by Mahaprabhu. But unfortunately, the movement at that time was not well represented. So he wasn't too impressed with the people who were practicing because there were many sahajiyas, there were pretenders. The Thakur made an onslaught against those who were polluting Lord Chaitanya's teachings and who had mostly because of their boldness. They just destroyed the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 1861, Thakur accepted the post of deputy magistrate. So he went from headmaster to magistrate in the government of Bengal, deputy magistrate. He took the position of deputy registrar with the power of deputy collector and magistrate in the district of Chapara. He became fluent in Persian and Urdu. So he's very intelligent. He became deputy manager in Dinajpur, West Bengal, highest rank in government that could be held by an Indian person during the British Raj. He was quite favorable to the British Raj. He found them quite fair because he was actually himself very talented, capable. At this time, after a long search, he was able to procure rare copies of sacred texts, Srimad Bhagavatam, describing the pastimes of Krishna and his associates, and also Chaitanya Charitamrita, the biography of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He published a song about Chaitanya entitled Satchidanand Prema Lankara. I'm not sure if we've sung that one, but we can see it was really hard to find a genuine copy of the Bhagavatam. We're really fortunate because Prabhupada has made the Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita so easily accessible to us. Now all we have to do is open the computer and just type a couple of words and there it is. So we're really, really fortunate. In 1869, he was transferred to Parana, and during which time his second son, Radhika Prasad, was born. In Champarana, people used to worship a ghost in a banyan tree, and the ghost had the power to influence the mind of the local judge to decide in favor of the worshipper. So Thakur advised the local scholar to read Bhagavatam under the tree continuously day and night. After 1 month, the tree crashed to the ground and many people found renewed faith in the message of the Bhagavatam. From Champarana, he moved to the holy city of Puri, which gladdened his heart to no end. So this is his second stint in Puri. First one, he became teacher. Second one, he came as a magistrate or deputy. In 1873, in the town of Kamanala, Orissa, there lived a mystic named Bisaki Sena, who could produce fire from his head. So he was quite famous, and he had two companions going by the name of Brahma and Shiva, and he himself was Mahavishnu. Together they were the divine trinity, the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the universe. So of course they were fake. Oh, Rianch, yes.
Raja, I heard that Bhaktivinod Thakur, he fought with one philosopher named Falgu Baba.
I don't know that one. What happened?
So everyone, every night, all the people of Bhaktivinod Thakur village would come to the place of a Mayavadi philosopher named Falgu Baba. So he would do many things like going into fire, he's flying in the air. So people thought he is the god and they started worshipping him. So Bhaktivinod Thakur, while every day he would go to the court and get with people, and again when he was coming home, it was night. Every day it was earlier than night, but today it was very late. So when Bhaktivinod Thakur came in the way, he saw that one Mayavadi philosopher was there, and he was giving money to all the people and blessings that you will be free from that. But it was not real. No one can do that free from that. So Bhaktivinod Thakur don't want to see people attracted to this Mayavad philosophies. So Bhaktivinod Thakur repeated it for that Mayavadi philosopher. So, but the Mayavadi philosopher created many things like that, and he said he is the God. You are not the God. I am the God. You don't know. That's why you are telling like that. So many things he repeated, and one day when he was doing this, he influenced that family of Bhaktivinod Thakur, and there's many dreams like scary dreams. So Bhaktivinod Thakur wife would tell that something would happen. So Falgu Baba created this all the things. So finally, seeing this, then Bhaktivinod Thakur read the Srimad Bhagavatam, and all the people came there. But suddenly, that Mayavadi philosopher, thinking he am the God, created some influences where the people would be scared. So all the people were scared, but Bhaktivinod Thakur's son, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is called as Vimal Prasad, he saw that all the people were scared, but he was not scared. So, Lord always protects his devotees. So the thing which Falgu Baba, the energy he was creating with it, the same energy kill him in return.
Where did you hear this?
I saw proper movies. Prabhuji, if you want to see that, there are 45 episodes of one devotee of Srila Prabhupada. His name was Bhakti Charu Swami.
Yeah,
I saw 45 episodes of Srila Prabhupada from his movies. Every night I would see, so I got inspired.
Very good. Good boy. Anyway, we're going to carry on. The district governor of Bengal drew up arrest orders. They wanted to arrest this Bishaki Sen because he was pretending to be God. And he was actually exploiting women. He was exploiting others as well. Nobody dared to act against him. We were all scared of his mystic powers. But the Thakur was actually fearless. And he wanted to bring this fellow to justice.
Oh, I know this.
Let me do it. Because we can just do it quickly, rather. He went personally to see Bishaki Sena, who showed some powers that would normally scare off an ordinary man. And in fact, I think at some point, his mystic power extended to his Bhaktivinod Thakur's family members as well. They became ill.
Yes, they all become sick.
Yeah. And informed the Bhakti Thakur that he knew well who he was. But since this demon, this fellow, Bishaki Sena, was the Lord, the Thakur thought, I won't interfere with this guy. So this was the illusion this guy carried out. He was thinking, I am the supreme, and you better not interfere with me. So that was enough for the Thakur. He thought, this is too much. He started, he replied by acknowledging that this fellow had accomplished many things in yoga and tantra, and requested him, please come to Jagannath Puri, because in Jagannath Puri he was there. He could do something about him. So then Bishop Kisena, he replied, why should I come to see Jagannath? He's just a hunk of wood. I am the supreme person, in person. And of course, this was very offensive because the Thakur was actually devoted to Jagannath. because he was in charge of Jagannath's temple, in fact. So that he became very angry. They arrested this fellow. They tried to arrest him, brought him to Puri, threw him in jail. And then that's when the trial began. And during this trial, actually, Bhaktivinod Thakur's relatives fell ill. I think his daughter or his son, can't remember now. And at this time, there would be lots of people who would support this crazy fellow. They would be standing outside the court. They would demand his release. And on day 6 of the trial, yeah, there you go, Bhaktivinod Thakur's daughter, Kadambini, became seriously ill, nearly died. But it didn't stop Bhaktivinod Thakur. He was such a strong person. He knew that it was the power of the tantric yogi at work. And he said, let us all die, but this rascal must be punished. So on the last day of the trial, Thakur himself became ill from high fever and suffered exactly as his daughter had. But they still didn't stop the trial. The Thakur was very determined to find this man or punish this man. They found him guilty. They sentenced him to 18 months for political conspiracy. But of course, he was still showing his powers. But there was one English gentleman. He was the district medical officer. He was also very bold. And he realized that Bisaki Sena's power was in his hair. So he cut off his hair, chopped his hair off. And his powers fell and he died. He died on the way to the jail. He was like a dead man and had to be taken to jail by stretcher. After 3 months, he was moved to the central jail where he took poison and he died. And his compatriots also fell away. In Puri, the Thakur studied Bhagavatam with the commentary of Sridhar Swami. He also copied out in longhand the Satsandarbha of Jiva Goswami. This is no mean job because these books are huge. So to write these out is no mean task. He did a special study of Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, which Prabhupada is translated as. In 1874 to 93, during these years, the Thakur spent much time in seclusion, chanting the holy names. Though he still executed his worldly duties perseveringly. He wrote several books in Sanskrit, including Krishna Samhita, Tattva Sutram, Tattva Vivek. He wrote many books in Bengali as well, Kalyana Kalpataru, and he also composed Datta Kastubha in Sanskrit. So he was really prolific writer. All the prominent Vaishnavas at that time acknowledged the Thakur, except for one Raghunath Das Babaji. He thought the Thakur was unauthorized, as he did not wear customary religious symbols of neck beads, kantimala, or clay markings, tilak on his forehead. So the Babaji also advised other Vaishnavas to avoid the Thakur. Soon after, Raghunath Das Babaji contracted a deadly illness. In a dream, Jagannath came to him and told him to pray for the mercy of the Thakur if he wanted release from his illness and death. So of course he surrendered to the Thakur, and Thakur gave him medicines and cured him. So then he realized that this Bhaktivinod Thakur is very exalted. He was the manager of Jagannath Puri temple, as we discussed. He used his government powers to establish regularity in the worship of the deity. So some sort of structure was put in place, which is still there. In the temple courtyard, he would read the Bhagavatam every day, spend hours discussing Krishna and chanting the holy names, especially at the Tota Gopinath Mandir. And then, of course, the Siddhabakul place where the tree is there, and Haridas Thakur used to chant under this tree his 192 rounds every day. And at the Gambhira temple as well. He made notes on the Vedanta Sutra, and these notes were used by Shyamala Goswami when he published Baladev Vidyabhushan's Govinda Bhasya commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So in 1974, near the Jagannath Vallabh Gardens in a Raj house adjacent to the Narayan Chatta Mutt, the fourth son of the Thakur was born, answering his prayers for to send to the Lord to send a ray of Vishnu. And at that time, Bimal Prasad was born. Later on, he'll be known as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada, who's the spiritual master of our own Prabhupada. So there's Bhaktivinod Thakur. And I think either this one or this one must be Bimal Krishna. They look so similar.
No, Prabhuji, in the middle.
Where? He was quite he was fourth son. So he was quite I think he's one of these two. Which one do you think? You think this one? No. Too young.
Here is Bhaktivinod Thakur.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
We talk about Bhaktisiddhanta.
That's Bhaktivinod Thakur, yeah.
And Bhaktisiddhanta, I think this.
This one or this one? I think maybe, I don't know, one of these two. No, not him. Definitely not. He looks like one of these. Anyway. Oh yeah, you can remove these, huh? At this time, the Thakur discovered that the king of Puri had stolen 80,000 rupees from the temple. And he forced the king to offer Jagannath 52 times daily offerings in retribution. This diminished the money quickly. The king was furious and he began with the help of 50 pandits a 30-day tantric ritual sacrifice meant for killing the Thakur. Wow. So when the last oblations were poured into the sacrificial fire, it was the king's son who died instead. Wow, that's heavy, huh? 1877 onwards, Varada Prasad and Virat Prasad were born, fifth and sixth sons. 78, he left Puri, went to Bengal, published books. He took formal Diksha. So he hadn't taken Diksha up to now from Vipin Bihari Goswami, who descended from the Janava family of Bhagnapur. And sometime later, he received the title of Bhaktivinod Thakur, due to his colossal effort in preaching and book publication. Along with this title, he was also awarded another title, Satchit Ananda, after this publication of his book. So this book is a very famous book. We haven't read it, but he became known as Satchit Ananda Bhaktivinod Thakur. Around this time, his seventh son, Lalita Prasad, was born at Ranagat. So Lalita Prasad and Bhaktisiddhanta, they for some time they worked together, but then they had a disagreement. Bhaktivinod Thakur began publishing Sajjana Toshani, his Vaishnava journal. Previously, Bhaktivinod Thakur had done pilgrimage to Kashi, Prayag, Mathura, Vrindavan. And again, he decided to see, desired to see the land of Braja. He took 3 months for this purpose. And there he met Jagannath Das Babaji, who would move every 6 months between Navadvip and Vrindavan. So meeting him, he accepted Jagannath Das Babaji as his eternal worshipper guru, Shiksha instructing guru. So in our line, that is the parampara. So Bhaktisiddhanta, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, Bhaktivinod Thakur, and then Jagannath Das Babaji. From Vrindavan, he went to Calcutta, and in the course of excavating for the construction of his house in Calcutta called Bhakti Bhavan, a deity of Kurmadev was unearthed. And after initiating his 7-year-old son, Bimal Krishna, he gave him the deity to worship. He set up printing press in Bhakti Bhavan, and these are the sort of books that he published. Loads of books, really prolific writer. he would lecture over these books. He quit. He resolved to quit the government service and go to Vrindavan. But he had a dream in which Mahaprabhu appeared to him and spoke, "You will certainly go to Vrindavan, but first there is some service you must perform in Navadvip. And that is Lord Chaitanya's birthplace. So what will you do about that?" And then the Lord disappeared. So the Thakur, he changed his plan. He managed to get a transfer of work to Krishnanagar. And he tried to retire, but they wouldn't allow him to retire. So he continued his work. But that's when he did a lot of research, and he found that the real place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birth was opposite the Ganga. That it had been established in Navadvip, but that was a town, and perhaps due to economic reasons, the birthplace was established there. But the actual birthplace, Bhaktivinod Thakur established that it was across the Ganga in Mayapur. And then that was later confirmed by Jagannath Das Babaji.
Yes, Jagannath Das Babaji
Jumped
This
very
was-
high.
yes.
Yeah, that's right.
after so many years.
Yeah, because he was very old. He was like 150 or something.
He jumped very high.
Subsequently, the Thakur took leave from office for 2 years and acquired a plot of land in Sri Godum Dweep, which is just across the river. And from there, from Godum Dweep, you could actually see the Temple of Vedic Understanding, TOVP, Planetarium. And there is a retirement house which Bhaktivinod Thakur built. It's still there. You can visit it, still looked after very nicely. And it's called Surabhi Kunj. In 1890, he established the Namahat, the marketplace of the holy name. So these Namahats would be little gatherings all over the place. And sometimes Jagannath Das Babaji would visit, have kirtan with them. In that way, they would constantly be enjoying the chanting of the holy names. This Namahat became very popular, and now it's still very popular. Once Bhaktivinoda Thakur's sons contracted a skin disease, Jagannath Das Babaji told the boy to lie down at the birthplace of Chaitanya for the night. He did so, and the next morning he was cured. So very potent. The holy places are very potent. And the Thakur went again to Vrindavan, visiting all the different holy places in Braj. And he gave a lecture in the investigation of whereabouts of Mahaprabhu's birthplace, because it was very controversial. He changed it from one part of the Ganga to another part. So there was a lot of opposition against him doing that. But the Thakur, he cited much evidence from different sources to establish that this is the actual place of the Yog Pit, the birthplace of Mahaprabhu. He retired finally in 1894. He stayed in Surabhi Kunj, preached and wrote. He would sometimes go to Calcutta, where he would beg door to door for building the Yog Pit temple. This is his place in Surabhi Kunj. Very beautiful, nicely maintained. And there are very beautiful deities there as well. 1896, Bhaktivinod Thakur, he wrote this book, which was sent all over the place. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his life and percepts. And that made its way into the McGill University, where the devotees found it. He was also highly respected author, of course. He had great respect of a newspaper writer, the founder of the Amrita Bazar Patrika, and they would constantly work out how to increase the publications and the preaching of Bhaktivinod Thakur. So he published the Sri Vishnu Priya or Ananda Bazar Patrika under the editorship of Bhaktivinod Thakur. In one of his letters to Bhaktivinod Thakur, he wrote, "I have not seen the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, but I consider you the 7th Goswami." Sometimes Bhaktivinod Thakur is referred to as the seventh Goswami. And his son, Bimal Prasad, he was resident in Puri as a monk, as a brahmachari, and he would engage in the worship of the temple deities. And later on, he asked him to go and preach, because Bhaktivinod Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta was a very great scholar. So he would go and ask, please leave this place and go and preach in Calcutta and other places. In 1908, Thakur took external dress of Babaji. So he became Babaji. So he's not sannyas. He took, didn't take sannyas, but Babaji is pretty much equivalent to a sannyas, signifying one who devotes the remainder of his life to solitary devotional practice, especially chanting the holy names and preaching extensively. They don't do so much preaching. It's mainly chanting of the holy names. And yeah, so in 1910, he shut himself away. In 1914, he passed away. So tomorrow, we're celebrating or observing the occasion of his disappearance. And his remains were taken from Orissa back to beloved Godrum, Surabhi Kunj. And 6 years later, the worshipful Thakurani, his wife, Bhagwati Devi, she also passed away. Long lives. So this is the Samadhi of Bhaktivinod Thakur at Swananda Sukhada Kunja in Surabhi Kunj, Godrum. And this is a little idea of his schedule. He used to rise or take rest only for a few hours, sleep for 3 hours, refresh himself, like in the bathroom, etc., a couple of hours. He would write for 8.5 hours. He was a prolific writer. Chant for 4 hours. He would do some work for 6 hours in the courts. But he had a really tight schedule, which he would follow every day. Extraordinary. And he would eat very little.
Can you show the schedule?
Yeah. So he would.
Yes, Raj, you can carry on.
Okay, thank you. So he would write all night and then sleep for half an hour, chant, write letters, study, receive guests, go to the court. And his judgments were really fast, but very accurate. They couldn't find any fault in his judgments. He always had a pocket watch. So he was very punctual. He would wear coat and pants to court with double-sized Tulsi neck beads and Vaishnav tilak. He was very strong in his decisions. He would decide immediately, and nobody would get away with murder. He predicted that a personality will appear soon, and he will travel all over the world to preach, spread the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So that's Prabhupada, our Prabhupada. Very soon the chanting of Harinam Sankirtan will be spread all over the world. When will that day come when people from America, England, France, Germany, Russia will take up katas and madanga and chant Hare Krishna in our town, in their towns? So this all became true. When will that day come when the fair-skinned foreigners will come to Mayapur Dham and join the Bengali Vaishnavas to chant Jai Sachidanand, Jai Sachidanand? When will that day be? So then he wrote, as we know, he wrote fantastic songbooks. And we've going through the Gita Mala now. Karuna's already gone through the Gitavali and Sharanagati. So there's a few more after Gita Mala. Looking forward to all of those. His songs are proof of his causeless mercy upon the fallen souls of the world. And we can see the current songs that Karuna is singing from the Gita Mala, how deep these songs are, full of so much knowledge. He wrote over 100 devotional books, which contain detailed information on all aspects of Bhakti Yoga. So this is just Saranagati. We had a very quick look at it some time ago. The different divisions in Saranagati. Very interesting. Most popular of his songbooks is the Saranagati. Many devotees have written, and Gitavali. And here's another picture. This looks like a picture, not a painting. There's some books.
Roji, who is this?
This is Bhaktivinod Thakur. Okay, Bhaktivinod Thakur ki jai. Any questions, any comments?
Roji, can you show
What you would like to see?
That picture.
that right?
This one?
Yes, Roji.
Mhm.
Yes, Roji, you can move.
But when the devotees actually told Prabhupada about that book in McGill, so they're saying, why didn't Bhaktivinod Thakur actually propagate the message of Lord Chaitanya all over the world? So Prabhupada laughed and said, he left it to me. He wanted to honor me. And
Extraordinary. And the time was right when Prabhupada
Mm.
came. Somehow Krishna arranged it so well. Anybody else like to share anything? Any questions, any comments? So tomorrow is his disappearance day and we're fasting.
Hare Krishna.
Till noon.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Kamash.
Just, is this the, I don't know if I got it right. Did the British build a railway for Bhaktivinod Thakur? Is this, am I right? So that he could come and work.
I haven't heard that.
I think
but
so. I think so.
I think my husband might know more. Let me ask him.
Yeah.
I didn't heard that.
Mm.
Tell about the railway.
Sorry, what's that? Bible?
Hare Krishna.
It's about the railway.
Oh yeah, well that's Krishna Nagar. I think there's a station
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
specifically built for him
Oh,
when he
really?
retired. So the British said, no, you got to keep coming to Orissa. So where he lived and retired, they said, no, the British specifically built the railway line from near his house so that he can just take a train straight from there to Orissa and all that. So yeah, he was very respected by the
yeah,
British government as well. They didn't want him to retire, and all that. So
yeah.
yeah, that station is there and it's somewhere. Yeah,
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that. Very
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was something like that. Thank you.
Good. Bhaktivinod Thakur ki jai.